Preserving this habitat-rich, biodiverse, natural area so close to Parksville and so close to the Englishman River, which borders a significant part of it, would be really valuable for the community, for the native plants that are here on site, and for the wildlife. My name is Lynn Brooks. Educationally, I've started out as a biologist and as a teacher, and continued on into organizational management and then on into environmental education. Right now, you can see behind a number of trees, some black cottonwoods and others, alders, willows. Preserving this habitat-rich, really biodiverse area would be a real boon to the community, to the native plants, and to the wildlife that use this property constantly. It's a wonderful corridor. It's part of a corridor that goes all the way from the foothills right on down the watershed of the Englishman River to the shore, to the Englishman River estuary. They're all connected, and the wildlife, many of them have to move seasonally, following food, looking for denning in winter, looking for places to rear young and protected places to nest. And this place provides a lot of variety as far as the habitat and the different resources that are important for wildlife. It's also a great place for people to come and visit and learn and see all the beautiful nature around. There are wetland areas, there are floodplain areas, there's the river, the riparian area, there's deep forest, there's sunny areas, there's a lot of variety here, which means there are a lot of variety of plants, insects, birds that depend on insects, and it is extremely important too for the communities downstream because there are large floodplain areas on this property. And with climate change, there is predicted to be more flood events, and this is something that will really protect people living down towards the Englishman River estuary. It will protect them because this land will actually hold water back and store it and let it settle back into the aquifer and slowly go out into the river. The riparian areas here, the areas along a river, are very fragile and very sensitive. And if you're a person that's interested in salmon, it's important to know that up to half of the food that they eat come from insects that fall into the rivers, and that's what the salmon is. The little bugs get eaten by the little fish, and the larger fish eats the larger insects that fall in the water. That's a very important part of a healthy river system.
My name is Linda Harbaugh, and I am the president of Grieg Greenway Society. I ventured on to 1465 Grieg Road, and when I came onto the property, I was completely captivated with its beauty. I could see wetlands, I could see a seamless path all the way down to Top Bridge. I saw lots of flora and a canopy of trees. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And so when I left the property, I did see a little handwritten note sign on a tree that was informing me that this property was proposed to be rezoned. The application was to change the zoning from agriculture to comprehensive, and that means that they could put up to 800 units on this 140-acre property. So as soon as I learned this, we created a working group, and the working group was assembled with a lot of our environmental professionals and experts. We spent over a year and a bit doing research and reading all the assessments and the environmental impact statements. We learned that it would be very irresponsible to develop on this property based on that it's a very ecologically sensitive property and it's very biodiverse. The best thing about this property is the location. It is perfectly sandwiched between Rathtrevor Provincial Park and Top Bridge. And it connects all of the Englishman River with the estuary down to the ocean. It is a central location. We are hoping that we can work with our environmental community partners to purchase this land from the owners and save it for our community, we can see the benefit to having this beautiful 140 acres for generations to come for our wildlife and our aquatic species, as well as our Englishman River, which is the life of our community. Once this property is gone, it will be gone for good.
Yes, I'm James Craig. I'm a retired applied science technologist. Spent 27 years on the west coast of BC, mostly Vancouver Island, looking at salmon and steelhead. I'm here because the 1465 Grieg Road property is bordered by 1.3 kilometers of the Englishman River. So the property goes right to the wetted edge for 1.3 kilometers. And if you put 1,300 and some odd brand new people right next to the river, there will be impacts to the riparian zone that will not be able to be controlled. The last 5 years I spent in my career was along the lines of riparian corridors in rivers of Vancouver Island. And we found that the species of salmon that are in this river, primarily Chinook, chum, coho, and pinks, they use that edge of the river with the small stick branches in and above the shallows as a critical habitat that they need to have for growing from egg to some sort of a smolt. And if the vegetation is trampled down, they simply keep going downstream until they find a place. And if there's no place, guess what? There's no room for rearing Chinook or rearing coho or rearing steelhead. So I was just inspecting the right bank of the Englishman River, which is Grieg Road property, and I saw a lot of coho fry, fairly recently out of the gravel. I saw Chinook fry for sure, and I saw chum fry that were very well advanced. The Grieg Road property is 1.3 kilometers of a 15-kilometer long river. In other words, it's a big chunk of the river. And the species that are stream rearing, which is the coho and the steelhead, they really need these habitats to be intact. And having this property remain natural will be a huge improvement on the odds of these species to survive as they do now, and hopefully better.
Hello, my name is Wayne Moorman. I've been a fisherman since I was a child. I grew up in Duncan. I'm an engineer by profession, and I'm really interested in water and conservation of it. I've been discussing with the city and the Arrowsmith Water Service over the last year or so the problem with water supply on the river during the late summer months. The Grieg Road property has me interested because it's in a floodplain, and if it gets developed, much of that floodplain will be taken up with development, which is going to affect the river. It's going to affect other parts of the floodplain. It's going to affect San Pere and Martindale Road area. I'm just hoping that the property can be preserved for nature and for future generations, and that we'll have access to this river for many years to come.